So, good morning, musketeers. I'm back in the workshop and it's freezing cold. My feet are like blocks of ice, but that's a good old British winter for you. A job has come in from an item that I sold a while back. It's an interesting repair job and I'm going to dare to film it and cover it, and hopefully we'll get an end solution that I can put together just to show you something a little bit different. Normally I obviously deal in an awful lot of rifles and possibly swords, but this time a late 17th century or early 18th century crossbow has come in, which is damaged. Now, when it came in, it was in one glorious piece. But although the owner doesn't want to fire it, he wanted to try and restore it back to its original health. Now, when it came in, it was complete, but it had a very peculiar rise on the end of the ramp, and one got the feeling that if an arrow or a bolt was fired from this, your aiming point would have to be very low because the path of the arrow would be kicked up. On closer examination, before I took it apart, we realised that it's been cut. This metal plate at the side has been cut. It's rough and it's unpleasant. So I started yesterday by taking it to pieces. Now the bow is actually strung, and here is the wax cord, and the actual bow part is of this steel component here. Now I know virtually nothing about this. I'm the same as you. My knowledge really gathering consists of too many Tony Curtis films running around, Men in Tights type information. Now, looking at the thing logically, I believe that we've got to, this was bent upwards. This metal brace on the side was bent upwards, and it had torn the timber inside out. Also, the base, this front nose piece underneath has been cut across as well. So there's more bracing that's missing. So the idea is to replace the timber, to possibly weld in a brace across the gap, and to remake this nose piece and continue it around the underneath to fasten on the back, where there are two screws apparently doing nothing. So took it apart, got hold of a piece of nicely seasoned oak, bore special attention to the direction of the grain, and am starting to build a replacement part, which I will peg in and then cross rivet as before, like these rivets here. I'll cross rivet through this section if it survives the build, but I've gone for a distinctly hard piece of wood, hopefully with the strength to I've tried to pick the grain direction to give the best strength, but we shall see in the future. I'm going to battle on with it and then come back to you and show you when I've done a bit more. Thanks for watching. By sword and musket. Gentlemen and ladies, what have we achieved today? Well, what I have done is remove some more damaged timber at the back. I've filled in the gaps from behind and then at the front. Obviously not finished. The gap is now large enough, obviously, to take the steel bow. And this is the piece of oak I've been working on, getting to the point of getting possibly close enough to fit to the crossbow. Like I said before, let's hope it all comes out in the end. There's a broken screw in there which was so old and rotten it just parted company. May have to work around that. Also took out another rivet across the back there which was loose, and the story goes on, so I'll come back and have another crack at it tomorrow. Hello folks, back in the workshop, continuing with the crossbow. Piece of timber dowelled in at the back. That will be, most of that will disappear in the shaping, you can tell. And then work that's been carried out on the nose cone, if you like. The nose cone was breaking at this point and then cut off at about here because of that slice out of the square at the side. So I've made this slightly ornate looking, but hopefully crude enough to go with the rest of the weapon type finial arrangement. I've welded it, because it's steel, I've welded it on using a plate again at the back. It looks crude, but it's what it looks like at the front that's important, and that it holds together. And we've repaired the drilling. So we've got two more fixing points that will clamp round the back of that plug, repair. And really, as I've run out of time today, the next thing to do, this has been close fitted now to the nose peg, or the nose cone, if you like. The next thing now is, I can't do much more today, but the next thing is to start fitting the whole thing together and seeing if there's any other considerations before we start drilling and gluing and fitting. So the workshop's a pit. There's woodwork going on one side, the welding and metalwork's been going on over here. I think I've almost exhausted my files at this point. Do a lot with files. I've used the router to cut away at the wood so we don't have to give it a shock by thumping it. There's another file. Yep, they're all pretty spent. Of course, there's the magical piece of sandpaper on the block to remove the file marks. That's what we cut the shape out of. I'm quite pleased with the way it's going. It's certainly heading in the right direction, and I haven't got any weaknesses that I know of within the repair. So Let's just hope the chap's willing to pay for all this time, because that's 4 mornings now, 4 solid long mornings. Catch up with you again. This is Kirk at By Sword and Musket, signing off. Captain's log, workshop log. Workshop log, start date 15/15. What we now have is fitted up. There is more work to do. Rivets are in place, it's secure. Rivets had to be made. The wood is pegged and in position and secure. Last problem was the nose cap broke, so I've had to repair it. I've put it back together. I haven't finished the filing work, and I've shaped the underside to a certain extent at the back of the bulge. You can see one of the pegs running through long ways. So the pegs cross over through each other. The joints have all held. So we shall see when we come back on Monday. Hopefully some of that brown will have settled in. Final stage. Managed to get it all assembled. Managed to get the thing riveted, screwed, put together. Got the main screw running through there onto the block that holds the bolt. All it has to do now is age, really. I'll just flip it over. I'm thinking about putting some molten lead in the groove as the final thing. That's the final view from above. Of course, I've got to string the bow, but it's all pretty secure. Yeah, the final thing may be to just fill in that with a bit of lead to overcome the obvious crack or difference, but considering it was held in so many different directions, I'm not unpleased with that. So here we are. The job is finished. Steel filled in, wood replaced, refitted, lead replaced. Looks much the same as it did before. I haven't been able to get the lift out of the front. I wonder if it's intentional. Couldn't get the wood to reshape or pull down. So it may look a bit crude, perhaps, but once it's rusted a little bit, I think it will be difficult to tell, but it's certainly very solid. There's no looseness. So crossbow job complete. Just have to get the owner to come and have a look, see what he thinks. Thanks for watching. I know it's been quite a long drawn out video, but it's been an even longer drawn out job. But with each of these jobs, when you've never done it before, you've got to work out the best way of doing it. And you discover along the way if your ideas are going to work. It seems to have worked this time. So if anybody else has got any impossible repairs they'd like done, please contact me. Drop me a line. Cheerio.